In my opinion, it has now become completely obvious who the Raiders are going to select with pick 6 in the NFL draft. And now the general manager in his pre-draft press conference with head coach Pete Carroll just let it slip who the Raiders are picking. Now there's still some other rumors on who the Raiders could select. We're going to break that down too. I have rearranged my set, everybody. Give a congrats to me and my wife Audrey for setting this all up. I've managed to upgrade everything besides the headphones. No radiation in these, according to Aaron Rodgers. Because the Raiders are selecting at pick 6, there are still a ton of people out there who think they're taking a quarterback. I don't see it. I don't buy it, mainly because they have Geno Smith now, and you have this guy, this 34-year-old quarterback, saying tons of nice things about his head coach, Pete Carroll. There is a true bromance going on here, and I don't see these two breaking up.
We got great history together. We did some pretty good things in Seattle together, and I was with him for all of 5 years. And he helped me turn my career around. Obviously, Seattle gave me an opportunity, and I mean, just the type of coach he is, man. He's legendary. Who wouldn't want to play for Pete Carroll? I mean, I grew up watching him, idolizing him.
Regardless of what you think, Geno's going to be the guy, right? Isn't that going to be so awkward if the Raiders select a quarterback at pick 6? And do we really think Pete Carroll's gonna bench his friend, his homie Geno Smith this year or next year? I don't see it happening. I don't think Brady thinks it's gonna happen. I don't think the general manager Spytech thinks it's gonna happen. So I think there's no chance in hell they select a quarterback at pick 6, but you still got other people like Ice Cube, one of the ambassadors of Raider Nation. He thinks Shador's the guy at pick 6.
If Shador's there, do you want him?
Of course. I think he's pedigree. He's seen how to do it on the professional level for a very long time. Has a great, amazing coach and Hall of Famer, Deion Sanders, coach and father, So I think he's ready for the NFL. And, if he's there, the Raiders should take him.
So according to Ice Cube, it's a no-brainer. The Raiders should just take Shador if he's there at pick 6. Look, I think the guy's a little blinded because he's homies with Deion Sanders. I'm not homies with Deion Sanders. You're not homies with Deion Sanders if you're watching this right now. So we don't have to pretend that Shador should be able to take Geno Smith's job and be selected by the Raiders at pick 6. I think that would be one of the stupidest decisions this organization could make. It'll just be super awkward and divide the locker room. On top of that, personally, this is my opinion. You may disagree. I don't think Shador Sanders is going to be a good quarterback at the NFL level. I think there's many reasons to believe that based on his resume at Colorado, but I think his dad meddling in the affairs of whatever team he joins alone is a reason to pass on him. I don't want the Deion drama in Vegas, and I don't think many other organizations want the Deion Sanders show to come to their town too. We've recently gotten to hear from running back Ashton Jeanty about his meetings with the Raiders. I think this guy knows where he's gonna go in the NFL draft. You tell me based on what he says here.
It's no, surprise to me that I'm, mocked to go there, being, that the recent hires and Pete Carroll, we know his coaching style. We know he likes to run the ball, likes a great running back. And, also other people that they've, brought on their staff like Chip Kelly and Deland McCullough and a great running back coach.
So you have the star running back Ashton Jeanty saying it is understandable that a lot of people are mocking him to go to Vegas, and then he talks about meeting with them, how it was great, yada yada yada. Not only are we seeing this guy openly talk about the fact that it makes perfect sense for him to go to Las Vegas, but remember, John Spytech, the Raiders general manager, his son was already saying last month he's gonna ditch the family if they do not draft Jeanty.
Yeah, my oldest son has made it no secret that if we don't pick Ashton Jeanty at 6, that he's walking out of the family and he's going to find somebody else, probably whoever takes Ashton.
I think it's also important to point out Ashton Jeanty also seems like he's warming up to the Raiders. He's saying positive things about that organization when he really doesn't have to. This guy is such a high caliber prospect where he has in some ways the opportunity to sort of choose where he wants to go. Obviously he wants to be picked high, but he knows for a fact he's going to be a first rounder, a top 15 pick. He really doesn't have to beg any team to select him. And John Gruden recently interviewed Ashton Jeanty, former Raiders head coach, during the Super Bowl. And I think he made a really good point here about Jeanty being able to select his team.
I would just encourage you to interview the teams. Yeah.
Don't just let them interview you.
That's a good point.
They got to have something that you're looking for.
Yeah.
JT knows he does not have to beg anybody. So the fact that he's saying all these nice things about the Raiders and Pete Carroll and how it'd be a perfect fit means that these guys likely had some positive conversations, and he's down. And what happens next is absolutely hilarious. Doesn't have to do with the draft at all. But John Gruden was able to make a little Ashton JT because he's so fired up about football. He's able to make Ashton JT feel a little uncomfortable.
And I would like to fire you up. What do you do to get fired up before the game? You like people punching on you and grabbing on you or what? Huh?
I don't know about grabbing on me.
Hold on. I don't know if JT really likes other dudes grabbing on him. No diddy here. Before the draft, all the betting markets are open right now, and you cannot make that much cash if you're going to place a bet on JT landing to the Raiders because the Raiders are the favorite to land JT, and everybody thinks he's going there right now.
I just think you put him in any position, especially you put him with Pete Carroll, right? You think of Marshawn Lynch, you think Pete Carroll and running backs. This guy is meant to be in the NFL. He's meant to be with Pete Carroll and with the Las Vegas Raiders.
Now, before we get into what the Raiders general manager said, where I think he let it slip on what they're going to do in the NFL draft, I just first want to talk about a couple ways where I think Ashton JT might not land with the Raiders. Because right now, everybody, including myself, is pretty much telling you that's where he's going to go. He's going to the Raiders at pick 6. Now, the Raiders ran into some issues around OTAs. Their star left tackle, who was a first-round pick in 2018, selected by John Gruden, has been on the team since, had a contract extension since, but now only has 1 year left on his deal. Well, he decided to not participate in OTAs. He is seeking a contract extension. He does not want to just play on that 1 year contract. He's only 29 years old, 7-year starter, did struggle last year. I'm not sure if he was dealing with injuries, but to be completely real, everybody struggled on the Raiders last year, no matter what position group you're on, offense or defense. Obviously, defense did a little bit better, but he wants a contract extension. The Raiders, if they decide to trade this guy, are gonna need a new left tackle. And I think that is one of the only ways the Raiders do not select Ashton JT. Maybe they elect to fulfill this need and go tackle at pick 6 and find another running back later in the draft. We also don't really know how much these other teams value Ashton JT. We know running backs are supposed to be devalued these days, and the Bears at pick 10 are apparently really interested in Ashton JT, along with the Dallas Cowboys, who have a need there at running back. But the Raiders sit ahead of them at pick 6. Is there a possibility one of those teams trades up with the Giants, maybe the Patriots, to jump the Raiders and select JT? That's another way they don't select him, is if somebody else just snags him in front of them somehow. But maybe it's all said and done. Maybe everybody knows exactly where this guy is going to go. We did not see too many surprises in last year's draft, besides Michael Penix being selected by the Falcons. And you got the Raiders general manager asked about Ashton JT during the Raiders pre-draft press conference. And I want you to pay attention to Pete Carroll here. When the reporter is asking the question, he leans in and tells him, be careful. And the way he did this makes it seem like he did not think the mic would catch him saying that.
What do you think about him in particular makes him so special to where he might be careful one of those picks?
I'm going to be careful about talking about any specific player, but
wasn't that weird? I thought Carroll would have made it more obvious, like say, be careful out loud and kind of make a joke about it, make all the reporters laugh. That's kind of how that dude acts. But instead, this looked like a serious, hey, be careful.
To where he might be careful one of those picks.
I'm going to be careful about talking about any specific player, but more broadly to the running back question. I mean, we just saw Saquon Barkley just change the Eagles in one year. Now they had a great team around him, and it was adding an elite player. And I think when you sit where we sit, I mean, the idea is to add elite players at any position. And I don't try to devalue any certain position. I mean, there's times in games where there's nobody you'd rather have than the best kicker in the league too, right? I mean, in that moment. So there's certain ways to build a team, and I don't know where we got to a place where we don't feel like running backs are valued. I come from the University of Michigan to my core, and those guys were certainly really valued there. So it's hard for me to get away from that.
So there you have the rest of the answer, which I think was really telling, talking about the running back position. Is it a reach to go select a running back in the top 10 of the first round when you historically have seen teams grab a starting running back in the second round, in the third round, heck, even the fourth or fifth round? But then you had the Raiders general manager give an explanation on how the running back position is super valuable these days, especially with Saquon Barkley. And if you're the Raiders offense, you need all the help you can get. Would having a generational talent maybe the best running back in the NFL a couple of years from now, would that really hurt your team? Would that really be a downer because you selected him in the first round rather than the second? Of course not. So it seems like the general manager of the Raiders made it pretty clear they want to take Ashton Jeanty at pick 6. They understand the value of a player of that caliber, regardless of it being the running back position. However, this could be all smoke. This could be a move to sort of get teams to think you're all in at running back at pick 6 when they may pivot to tackle. They may pivot to another position group. And the reason why this could be all smoke is because you have the Ohio State running back Judkins talking about his connection with the Raiders' current offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly. Could they select this guy in day 2?
I had a formal with the Raiders at the Combine, and I got to see him again and everyone else that was in the room from their staff. And it was just awesome to get to see him and see how he's thriving in the new culture. And I'm happy for him, the success that we've had together, and to see him go do special things on the next level.
Okay. What would that be like to reunite with him? Have you thought about it?
I mean, it'll be great. I mean, I love the way that versatility with using me this past season, and like different ways he can get me the ball. And then we can just draw stuff up on the fly.
Obviously, he's going to say a lot of positive things about working with Chip Kelly. It's not like Judkins is going to come on here and say, didn't have a great experience with him at Ohio State. I know we did well in the field, but the guy was kind of a jerk. He's not going to say anything like that. Obviously, he's going to say nothing but positive things. But I do think chemistry, familiarity, the fact that these days in the NFL, you do not get this many practice reps, you do not get that many team meetings. The union cracks down on that, and a lot of coaches complain about the fact that they don't have enough time to teach their players. I think there is an argument where you can say in this era, does it make more sense to grab a guy yeah, he's not as talented as Ashton Jeanty, but if you get him in the second round, maybe you get lucky, get him in the third round, you already know the guy, you already have familiarity, and you can use that first round pick on something else, fulfill another need. I'm anxiously awaiting to see what the Raiders do in the first round of the draft, and every team in the entire draft. It's going to be super lit, and I hope you join me live on this channel Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific time during the NFL draft on the 24th. We will be here live, and I hope to see you there.